Hello everyone, my name is Carlos Torres and I welcome you to this week's edition of the Back Nine Report. Every week, my co-host Fred Altvater and I get together and check in on the world of golf to bring you the latest news, insights, analysis, interviews, recaps, reviews. We cover anything and everything golf. In other words, if it happened in golf, we have it for you. Fred, hi, how are you this week?
Carlos, U.S. Amateur was last week at Bandon Dunes. I thoroughly enjoyed watching that. There was fog. There was wind. Oh, tremendous wind coming off the Pacific. Waves crashing below the sand cliffs, rugged edges on bunkers, firm, fast fairways and greens. It was exactly how golf should be. Matter of fact, that's the motto for Bandon Dunes, golf the way it was meant to be, and it truly is out there. It's fantastic. As you know, it's one of my favorite places. Can't wait to get back out there. Hey, top stories this week. Stacy Lewis got back to the winner's circle on the LPGA Tour. Seems like forever since she's been winning. Jim Herman won on the PGA Tour. Boy, there's a guy with an up and down career. And the FedEx Cup Playoffs begin this week. Playoffs! We got the playoffs. Plus, we also have a major championship on the LPGA Tour in Europe, in England, in Scotland. Not England, I guess Scotland. So Kieran would slap me around if I said that right. As always, Carlos, we have a lot of golf to talk about, so let's get to it. Let's go.
Let's go. Like you said, we have so much, including that first major on. First major you can say on the ladies there for in a while. But hey, we have to cover also the FedEx Cup, which starts this weekend, and. But let's get to the weekend backspin where we recap the weekend's action. And let me check back again my notes. Hold on. It was Jim Herman. Jim Herman.
You remember him, right?
Yeah, I mean,
Trump's buddy.
Jim Herman.
Yeah.
I checked 2 or 3 times.
He's still on tour. Yeah.
I know, it's incredible. And not only that, he shot 61 to 63 over the weekend. Okay. Yeah. It was like, who is that guy? I mean, I was watching and seeing and everything. I was like, I think my phone was like wrong or something. I don't even know whether my phone is now. But anyway, I had to check, and he beat Billy Horschel by 1 at the Wyndham Championship. He finished at 21 under par. But he did it thanks to a crucial birdie that he did on the 17th hole. That was one of the 3 birdies on his last 6 holes. I mean, he went for it to win his 3rd PGA Tour title. Yes, he had the one before. He's 42 years old, if you don't know. He's from Cincinnati, Ohio. He won at the 2016 Houston Open, and also he won the 2019 Barbasol Championship, and now the Wyndham, right? So he moves up from 91st in the world from outside of the 300, as well as up to 54th in the FedEx Cup from outside of the 125. That was one of those guys that we said he's out, and all of a sudden now he's guaranteed at least 2 playoff events because he's number 54. So he also qualified for the U.S. Open for just the 9th time from just the 5th time in his career. It was in what was the final regular PGA Tour event of the season. Herman, Zach Johnson, and Shane Lowry, we also mentioned when we were saying, those guys that are Shane Lowry was outside. So those 3 move up into the top 125 to continue into the playoffs, while Fabian Gomez, Russell Knox, and Charles Schwartz, so they all 3 fell out. So Horschel, who I thought was the one who was going to win, because I said like, oh man, this is Billy's finally he's going to come back now and be back in form and maybe win. But no, he was in second. He shot 65-65 over the weekend. His 6th runner-up finish on tour. So he will rue a drop shot on the par 3 16, and that was it. You know, Webb Simpson, Kevin Kisner, Doc Redman, another guy that you go like, oh, wow. I mean, this leaderboard was a little weird, right? But it's because there wasn't that big amount of big names there. So Siwoo Kim were all 2 strokes further back at 18 under. They tied for 3rd. So when they asked Jim Herman to describe his first win on the PGA Tour, he described it as life-changing. His second victory, he said, that's validating. Now, Okay, so how would you call the third one? Pretty amazing. That's what he said. So, he had to overcome a lot to get here for the third time. So that's why he said that it was pretty amazing. Fred, other players, Zach Johnson there, like I mentioned, they finished seventh and tied with Altvater. So how about this win by Jim Herman on the Wyndham to finally get in? And how about the rest of the people there?
Yeah, golfers are always tinkering. We're always tinkering. We're trying to improve. We're trying to find that secret sauce to make us play really well. Well, Jim Herman found it. He went to left-hand low or cross-handed on the putting. He got a B9R putter that he just evidently loved the feel. I bet they sold a bunch of those yesterday and today. Final 36 holes, 16 under par. That equals the lowest ever weekend score by a winner in tour history. So he's in the record books. But listen to this, Carlos. Listen to this. In 19 starts this year, he's only made 8 cuts. This was his first top 10 this season. Couldn't come at a better time. As you mentioned, he was number 194 in the FedEx Cup. Moved up only 140 spots with just one win to up to number 54. As you say, he's guaranteed now pretty much into the second event for sure. So he's going to earn big bonus. He earns 1.15 for the win this weekend. He was only, he was only at 1.5 for he won that. He's only at 1.3 for the year. So he's only 150,000 for the year thus far in 18 starts. Plus the win assures him a very big bonus. He's going to have the 2-year exemption. This is a big deal for somebody like him. Now he can go out and tinker and play around, and if he doesn't do that well, he's okay until a couple years from now if he needs to just win another tournament or get a couple high finishes. So it only takes one good week on the PGA Tour to keep your card and to make a bunch of money. One good week, and these guys all have it in them. It's just whatever trips the switch and makes them make some putts and knock it close, and they get a win. Hey, Carlos, I want to mention too, this week was the last regular season event for sure because we're starting the FedEx Cup Playoffs. But this is when the Wyndham bonus pool gets paid out. So from this, the top 10, and we're going to talk more about the FedEx Cup, but Justin Thomas gets the $2 million bonus for finishing number 1. Kyle Morikawa is number 2. He gets $1.5 million. Webb Simpson, $1.2 million. Bryson, $1.1. Sungjae M, $1 million. Patrick Reed, $150,000. Daniel Berger, $700,000. Rory, $600,000. Roy needs it. Poor boy's been suffering this year. Hasn't made that much. Brendan Todd, $550,000. Now, there's a name you don't expect to see in the top 10, right? Brendan Todd picked up this nice bonus, $550,000. Going to be a good Christmas in the Brendan Todd household. And $500,000 for John Rahm, who ends up number 10th on the FedEx Cup. So the Wyndham bonus pool paid out this week in the regular season. FedEx Cup's going to start. Heck of a win for Jim Herman. Congratulations to him.
Definitely. And hey, now let's talk about the ladies. Okay, on the ladies, the LPGA tour, they were playing on the other side of the pond, and I'm very happy about this one because Stacy Lewis finally came.
Where's she from? Where was she born? Toledo, Ohio.
Isn't she from the Woodlands in Texas?
That's where she lives. That's where she grew up, but she was born right here in Toledo. We claimed her. We had her first.
Okay. Stacy, I'm going to leave that debate to you. Anyway, she won her first title in 3 years. Finally, Stacy, you did it. Congratulations. But more importantly, it was her first since becoming a mother. So I guess that Michelle Wee is now like, see if she can do it, I can do it too, So she had to overcome 3 other ladies in a playoff there at the Scottish Open after she held amazingly. That's what she likes, and she was being known for that 23-footer on the first extra hole. So she was tied after 72 holes there at the Renaissance Club with Asahara Munoz and Emily Peterson and Shijin Knight at 5 under. She began the day one shot back of Asahara, but a 1 over par 72 was enough to reach the playoff despite a double bogey that she made at the 11th after what was a 1 under front 9. She steadied up the ship a little bit there, a couple of pars before a birdie 2 at the 14. Then she dropped a shot at 15. I mean, hey, Stacy's 35 years old now, but she parred her way into to reach the playoff, and she knows what to do there. She's a two-time major winner. She's a former world #1. She had not won since the 2017 Portland Classic. That was nearly 3 years ago. But hey, she and her daughter Chesney in October. She had her daughter Chesney in October 2018, and this was her first victory as a mom. I mean, she said this is amazing. She said that the only disappointing thing is that her daughter was not there, but to take the picture with her and all that. But she did all the right things there. I mean, she said that she called them, she did the FaceTime and all that stuff. But it was great to see Fred again. Stacy Lewis back on top, winning, and especially going out on a playoff and winning it all. I mean, the Ladies European Tour's return was a success, and like we're going to talk pretty soon, they're going to be heading now to Royal Troon for the AIG Women's Open, which is the first women's major of this year. Hinako Shibuno, who is called the Smiley Cinderella, will defend that title, and we'll talk about that. But also, got to point out, Danielle Kang finally looked great on links golf course. She was just right below the playoff contenders there. So look out, LPGA. I mean, if she's able to master the links golf course, she can pretty much say she's the best golfer in the world right now in the women's.
Yeah, can you imagine how tough it is for these young women that play on the LPGA tour that are married and then have a child? And then they're only home for a couple months, and then they got to hit the road and start playing golf again. That has got to be so tough. She's clear over there in Scotland, and her baby's back in Houston. It's got to be really difficult for her. But she, she's a great player. She always has been. 13th career win, first since 2017. Of course, she had her child, a year or so ago. And she returned to play in January of 2019. She struggled a little bit last year, but it looks like she's kind of finding her rhythm and getting it put back together. She had a top 10 at the Marathon Classic, 2 weeks ago. This week she gets the win in Scotland. I think she's won an Open Championship before. She might be a factor this week, Carlos. So she's now playing back to her old steady, reliable self, fairways, greens. When the putter works, she's tough anywhere. So she was not a fan of the slow play at the Women's Scottish Open. I don't know if you caught all that or not. There was quite a bit of chatter on Twitter. She said, I think the biggest challenge for me is staying in what I'm doing. And the pace of play is dreadfully slow. And that doesn't play into my favor. People I'm playing with are very slow. She said it twice. The final group took 5 hours and 16 minutes to complete their round. It does take some of the gloss off of an enthralling title tussle. Shouldn't take that long to play. I knew it was going to. That's the sad part. I do think an effort needs to be made across the board to play faster. I'm sure it couldn't have been any fun to watch on TV. I've been an advocate for changing our pace of play, getting people to play faster for a long time, and we're still going the other way. So there's that old pace of play thing, Carlos. You rail against it. We've talked about it. And now Stacy is beating the drum about it again. Even though she won, she doesn't like how long it takes to play. She wants to get off the course faster and get back into her room.
Oh, definitely, she does. And one thing that she did become with that win, this is her 13th title on the LPGA. She earned $211,680 for the winner's check, which moves her just over $13.1 million in career earnings. And that makes her now just the 8th player in LPGA history to break the $13 million threshold. She's less than $900,000 behind Julie Inkster on the all-time list. So, the all-time winner, we all know, is Annika Sorenstam with over $22.5 million. So congratulations to Stacy. And definitely, like you're saying, she's definitely one that likes to play fast. So
No.
definitely, she called her ladies out there, and I'm with her. You know my stand on this on slow play, and definitely, I mean, come on, it's you gotta move.
You know, Carlos, you mentioned Julie Inkster there, that she's real close to her in career money. I see Stacy as very similar to Julie Inkster. You know, Julie was able to play clear up into her, 50s, right? On the LPGA Tour. She had a very long career. I see Stacy kind of being able to do that. And I also see Stacy being a Solheim Cup captain. I see her being involved in the leadership in the LPGA Tour. She's a very intelligent young woman. She understands the game. She understands the business side of it. And I think she's going to be a real force in women's golf for a long, long time, Carlos.
Yeah, another milestone also on the money. And I forgot to mention that I have here in the on the notes. It was on the PGA Tour. Webb Simpson, I mean, he has had a strong season. He has had 2 wins, a second place, 2/3, 7 top 10s overall. So he has made more than $4.7 million in on-course earnings this season, not this year, this season. I forget about the wraparound. But anyway, he he was able to eclipse the $40 million mark in earnings. And now he's just slide over the 4 million, to be precise, good for 19th place in the all-time list. So wow. There's 19 players that have eclipsed the $40 million. He just became that last one. And you know who will be soon? I assure you it's going to be pretty soon, the 20th $40 million man on the PGA Tour. I
give up. Who you got?
Chucky Howell III.
Really?
Yeah.
Really? See,
when I read that, I was like, "Who?"
Stick around for a long time. You know what? Yeah. Stricker is over 40 million too, I think, right?
Yes, he is. Yes.
Yeah. I mean, he's amazing. These guys are. It's just like an ATM for them that make those cuts all the time. You know, they go and get their 50 grand or 100 grand, and every week, and they play 20, 25 times a year. And boom, all of a sudden they're making $2 million. And Carlos, that's just the tip of the iceberg. They made that much or more, probably double that in endorsement money. That's just, that's probably only about 25% of what they've made in their careers, because they make 2 and 3 times that outside golf.
Yeah, Chucky's just about 3,000 something, very, very short from the 40 million. And I mean, if you go up the list after Webb Simpson, you have Jordan Spieth with over 41. David Toms also 41.9. Then you go Steve Stricker, who you mentioned. He's number 16, 44.2, almost 44.3. So he's been there. So as you see, those are players with longevity, which is what you're mentioning, right? But Jordan Spieth is incredible that he's there already. That tells you how good a career he's had already. But also how much bigger the purses are right now. Davis Love III is 15th. Bubba Watson is 14th. Zach Johnson is with 45 million, is almost 46 at 13. Jason Day, 47. I'm going to go quickly. Ernie Els. Then Sergio is the first one over 50 at number 10. Matt Kuchar with 51. Rory McIlroy, 52 at 8, over 52 million at 8th place. Then Justin Rose with 54. Adam Scott with 55, he's number 6. DJ with 64. Then Vijay Singh, $71 million, number 4 all time. Yeah. Jim Furyk is number 3 with 71. Wow. Then, of course, the top 2, Phil Mickelson with over 92, and the big one, the big cat, over $120 million. But like you mentioned, this is only on-course earnings.
I didn't hear you mention Jack Nicklaus or Nick Faldo or Arnold Palmer or Ben Hogan. I didn't hear you mention those guys.
Imagine if those purses would have been back then.
Oh, yeah.
That's what tells you about what Tiger Woods definitely did for golf after that. Because if you see the list of players here, none of them. Well, Davis Love III, Steve Stricker, Phil Mickelson, but very few. And it's just, if you come to think about it, those are players that have been just a little bit before Tiger Woods. It's not that
And
But it
Justin
was,
Thomas has got to be getting close to 40 million probably. He's probably getting close to 30, isn't he probably?
he should be. I don't have his exact numbers right now, but at least I had from the
Yeah.
40 to
Yeah.
up. But he, since the past few 2-3 years, he's
Yeah.
definitely getting in there because that's one thing that we mentioned last week about Jordan Spieth and him. You see now how Jordan Spieth was able to just rocket right out of the
Right.
gate. That's why he's right now 18 at 41 millions. But Justin Thomas is really picking up. So
Yep.
we'll see, and definitely interesting stuff to hear about that. Hey, let's talk about now the European Tour, since we were talking about the Scottish Open on the ladies. I got to mention that having watched Sam Horsfield win the Hero Open and the Celtic Classic over the last few weeks, I wonder, it's a mystery to me how he hasn't been winning on tour for years. I don't know. I mean, he's an Englishman who grew up in the U.S. He won his second European Tour title in 3 starts at the Celtic Classic. He triple bogeyed the 17th hole on day 2 and immediately followed it up with an eagle on the 18th. That was on Friday. Then 36 bogey-free holes. Talk about up and down, right? But he's just a 23-year-old. He began the final round, one behind Scotland's Connor Syme, but Syme, man, he bogeyed that first one. And Horsfield then birdied the 3rd and 4th to quickly pull ahead before another birdie of the 7th. So play was stopped for 2 hours due to poor weather, and then Horsfield came back to play his last 11 holes in 1 under with 10 pars and 1 bogey. So he won by 2 at 18 under par with Thomas Dietrich in second at 16 under. Horsfield now becomes the first player in history to win 2 European Tour titles in 3 starts with a miscut in between. That's just a microcosmos of what his career has been. But now he's guaranteed a spot in the U.S. Open with his second victory of the UK swing, with 10 spots being decided this week via the mini order of merit. So for him, I mean, he said it was pretty crazy. But anyway, also third, we saw there Thomas Pieters and Andrew Beef Johnston. They tied for third, and Connor Syme was the other one. But Thomas Pieters and Thomas Dietrich, 2 Belgium guys, and we remember Thomas Pieters by a few years ago when he was on the Davis Cup, the Ryder Cup. And, you know, ever since we haven't heard much from him, but it seems like there's a resurgence from him and from his countryman, Thomas Dietrich, who we both said, hey, this 2 are 2 guys to look for, and maybe this might give them some confidence, Fred, to get back. And Andrew Beef Johnston is another guy that, you know, skyrocketed at the beginning. He drew a lot of attention, of course, but, you know, he also had some ups and downs, but it's like this is helping these guys now to try to gain some confidence, even though that we know this is not a big time, big players, big names there, but hey, a win is a win.
Yeah, it's kind of like the Corn Ferry Tour, right? I mean, these are all really mainline pros that are playing. They're not just, you know, they're not Latino American or Canadian Tour guys. These are serious professional golfers that are in these tournaments, but they're not quite up into the top 50 and not quite, you know, eligible to play here in the U.S. all the time. So it gives them a place to play. They're close to home. It's working out nicely for them. And I think that means something too, that they're comfortable where they're at. For like Horsfield, he's there at home. He's there in England. So I think it's more comfortable for him. You know, that was just his second title in just 14 days. So, I mean, that's phenomenal. Overcame a 2-hour weather delay, fading light, all this stuff. And he now takes over the lead in this UK swing in the order of merit. So as you say, that gets him into the US Open for sure. He breaks into the top 100, the official world golf ranking. It's his highest ever placing. So yeah, this is a big deal for him. You know, we heard Kieran talk about Horsfield a couple of weeks ago when he was on the show after Horsfield had won the Hero Open. Horsfield entered professional golf back in 2017 after playing his collegiate golf at the University of Florida. In the majors, he's qualified for the U.S. Open 3 times, but never made the cut. He just turned 24 years old this month, And some guys mature just a little slower than others. Maybe these 2 wins in a short period is just what he needs, Carlos, to jump up into that elite category of golfers that everybody kind of expected him that he would do coming out of college.
Oh, definitely. And hey, that's a name to watch for. We had seen him do well, relatively well, when the big names were there on the European Tour. Maybe now, I mean, it's like I mentioned, watching him play now and the way that he's playing and winning makes you think, what happened that he's not doing even better? But maybe this is what he needed. Maybe it's that confidence builder. So we'll have to watch out for.
You know, Carlos, a part of this might be the pressure's off a little bit now. He's not trying to make, money to have a living, to have money to live on. He's already, he won. He's got money in the bank. He's got some sponsorship. He's okay. Maybe he's just freewheeling it more now, and just, and so it allows him to get out and play his game and not worry about every bogey. Get out there and play and just let it happen. So that's what winning will do. That's what good play will do. It gives you the confidence, but it also gives you some money so you can free up. You know what it's like when you're down, when you're really struggling for money at work or whatever, everything becomes much more important and the pressure gets on you. So in golf, any little pressure really resonates and really shows up in your game, real quick.
Oh, most definitely. And that's a name that we're going to be definitely looking for from now on. Sam Horsfield, watch out. He's really looking good. Hey, let's talk about the Champions Tour. And what began as a relatively wide open race with a possible mad dash to the finish became just a 2-man pursuit that muted what could have been a drama-filled day at the south course of Firestone Country Club. Then, with one seam stealing, dagger-like swing, Jerry Kelly stood alone there. He buoyed by a stunning hole in one on the 200-yard 12th hole. Then he won the Bridgestone Senior Players Championship by 2 shots over Scotty Perel. Kelly survived more than a 2-hour weather delay. It was really bad. And shot a final round of 1 under 69 to win his first major with a 72-hole total of 3 under. So one by one, you can say, one by one, the contenders. There were 7 players really within 4 shots of the lead at the day's outset. And you might say any one of them had a shot. I mean, he had shot, but they shot themselves out of the picture. It was like when Tiger Woods won the Masters, there was so many players there, and you say, who's going to come out? Everybody shut themselves out, and it was Tiger who maintained it. That's exactly what happened with him. And Scotty Perel really was there. Those were the last 2 men standing. Perel is right now 3rd on the Charles Schwab money list, and the winner of the Schwab Chubb Classic earlier in the season. He shot a final round of 70 to finish at 279. But it was really Kelly's ace, which extended his lead from 1 to 3 shots. He came 1 hole after his bogey enabled Scotty to get within 1 shot. So that was really key for him. 1 shot of the lead with 7 holes to play. Then Perel, bogey the 13 hole to fall 4 shots behind. That really made it there. Even a birdie on the 17 was not enough. So Kelly, who shared the lead from Thursday opening round, was winless and had just 1 top 10 finish this season. Before prevailing on Sunday, he won $450,000 and a spot in the 2021 PGA Players Championship at Sawgrass. So he last won more than 1 year ago at the American Family Insurance Championship here on the senior circuit. Colin Montgomery and Miguel Angel Jimenez, one of the first-round leaders, tied for 3rd at even par. So Fred Kelly, with 6 Champions Tour and 3 PGA Tour wins on his resume, began the day at 2 under. He held a shot, but he quickly took charge, and won it there. And he was there. No one was able to mount a challenge there in the back 9. So kudos to him, Jerry, finally winning after a year really of up and downs as well.
Yeah, he moves up to number 6 in the Charles Schwab Cup, and he's been one of the most consistent players on the Champions Tour since he joined. In 72 starts, he's had 37 top 10s and earned $6.3 million. Compare that to his 29 years on the regular PGA Tour. He started in 621 events, had 91 top 10s, and earned over $29 million. boy, is he going to have a nice retirement package from the, when he really decides to retire. Last year, he recorded 12 top tens and 3 wins and earned over $2.2 million. He nearly knocked off Scott McCarron last year for the Charles Schwab Cup last year, if you remember. And McCarron had a huge lead late in the season, but Kelly just kept plugging away. Steve Stricker and Jerry Kelly are really good buddies from Wisconsin. I would think Stricker could see the success that Kelly's having on the Champions Tour and would want to join the old guys to win a few bucks and play a little bit more easier schedule that they play there on the Champions Tour. So I expect to see Stricker playing more and more on the Champions Tour over the next year or two, Carlos.
And he should. I mean, this is what not only he needs, but the Champions Tour need as well.
Yeah.
You start seeing those type of players, him, Jimmy Furyk, Ernie Els. I mean, those are the ones that we've been waiting to see there. If Phil Mickelson just would do it, but I know he's not going to do it until he's like 60, if ever he joins.
Phil's going to go in the booth. He's not going to play that much golf. He's going in the booth.
Yeah, yeah. We don't see him playing here in the
yeah.
Anyway, let's talk about this Steven Jaeger. He's a proven winner. I mean, he's a 31-year-old, but he won his 5th career Korn Ferry Tour title. 5! That's a proven winner. He won it. It isn't the KFT, but he won.
That means he's been spending a lot of time on the Korn Ferry Tour is what it means.
But he got his sweet spot there. So, hey, kudos to him. It's his 5th win. He won there, the Albertsons Boise Open, presented by Kraft Nabisco. So his final round of 3 under was just enough to earn a 2-shot victory at 22 under at Hillcrest Country Club. Then McCarthy made Jaeger earn it. I mean, he get to 20 under for the tournament thanks to a 7 under 64. He did really apply some pressure. Brendan Wu tied McCarthy for 2nd with Nicholas Lindham, and Justin Lower finishing T4 at 19 under. So Fred, Jaeger is only one of 13 players in the Korn Ferry Tour's 31-year history to earn 5 or more wins. Be what you say, he might have been spending a lot of time there, but he's now just 2 wins away from tying the all-time winning player on the Korn Ferry Tour, Jason Gore, 7 wins. So another player that might have been there for a little while. But anyway, this week.
That's a dubious honor at best.
To be the all-time winner on the Korn Ferry Tour. I know. But he's the all-time winner somewhere.
Yeah, it's kind of like Crash Davis holding the home run record for the minor leagues, right?
Yeah.
He goes from number.
The tour will travel there to Columbus for the 2nd of 3 events. But anyway, great win.
Yeah. He goes from Jaeger goes from number 74 to number 12 in the KFT points list, which really doesn't mean anything this year. Because, unless he can get into that top 10, because then he can get his card back for the PGA Tour next year. He was T3 in Colorado a few weeks ago, but then he had 3 consecutive missed cuts heading into this week's win. And like you say, it's his 5th career win. He played on the PGA Tour in 2019. So listen to these numbers. 25 starts, missed 12 cuts, only made $623,000, finished outside the top 125. In 2018, he was on the PGA Tour, 26 events, 12 missed cuts, and only made $430,000. He made $1 million over 2 years, and only made about 20 cuts or something. So he's just hung around the fringes of the PGA Tour and the Korn Ferry Tour. Very good player, but just has not been able to find the consistency and production necessary to break into golf in a big way. There again, it's kind of like we were talking about Horsfield on the European Tour. Does this give him the confidence? Does this free him up to maybe come out now and get into that top 10 in the Korn Ferry Tour here at the end of the year and jump up to the PGA Tour again next year and really be successful now? He's been out there. He's seen the courses. He's played a little bit. He knows who's out there. He knows the guys. He knows he can win. So maybe this will get him going, Carlos.
Maybe. Who knows? Maybe he'll move on and not be anymore that much. He might not get a chance to beat Jason Gore to be the all-time winningest player in the Corn Ferry Tour. Maybe he just wants to do that. Who knows? He's just 31. He might make it. Anyway, Fred, I know you've been dying to talk to us about the amateur tournament. So in Bandon Dunes, go ahead.
This was great. This was just great. Really good stuff. I really enjoyed watching. I mean, I love Bandon Dunes anyhow. It's great, you know, when I watch a tournament of someplace I've been, and it's so much fun to see it. But Ollie Osborne in the final match went out with 6 birdies in his first 11 holes to take a 5-up lead. I mean, 5-up lead. Tyler Stafacci just played steady, didn't waver. He added to the family golf history by winning the U.S. Amateur. Good for him. It was really a really great match. High caliber golf. The pair combined for 25 birdies and an eagle, despite at times 0 visibility almost. It was getting evening and the fog was rolling in. It was really hard to see. Stafacci is now the 4th Georgia Tech player to win the Havemeyer Trophy. Bobby Jones won a few of those. Matt Kuchar and his former teammate Andy Ogletree just won it last year. So Georgia Tech, they got something going on down there. They know how to win U.S. amateurs. Had a very good year. He also won the North-South Amateur just a month or so ago at Pinehurst. And that's where his family golf legacy kind of comes in, because his grandfather, Frank, had won the North-South Amateur twice in the 1930s. Plus, Grandpa Frank also won a USGA Publix title. But I think Tyler's, you know, USAM kind of trumps your US Publix, Frank, even though you had two North-South. I'll take the US Amateur over that US Publix. Stafacci survived one of the quarterfinal match with Argentinian and junior at Arkansas, Segundo Oliva Pinto. They had battled back and forth all day. Really a good match. It came down to the last hole. Pinto had hit his shot into a bunker and was over to the side preparing to hit this bunker shot, really concentrating how to get up and down and make the par. And his caddy stepped into the bunker, reached down and touched the sand, and touched the sand like this to feel the texture. Why? I have no clue. But Stafacci's father, who was caddying for him, saw this, and he told the referee that was walking with them. And the referee went wider over and was asking the caddy about it. And the caddy said, no, I didn't know. I didn't. Well, they had it on camera. They had a camera right above him. I mean, it was obvious. It wasn't even close. You know, he just stepped in, bent down, and touched the sand. The penalty is loss of hole. You can't, it's no stroke penalty. And Stafacci was even crestfallen that they couldn't play the hole out. He didn't want to win like that, but, you know, the caddy was full. Pinto, to his credit, was a real gentleman. He took it with grace. He was excellent on the interview. He said, you know, that's the way it goes. You know, we'll get him next time. You know, we'll see what happens. Had a great tournament, and we'll go on from here. So that was really an odd ending to that. And then Stafacci went on and ends up winning. I got to mention, though, Aman Gupta. He gets in the tournament because world number 2, Ricky Castillo, had to withdraw. He made the most of the opportunity. He led the field after the first round of stroke play. I mentioned his name last week. He had a course record 64 that featured 7 birdies on the front 9. He made pars at number 1 and number 4 and birdied every other hole on the front 9. That's a pretty nice round. He parred all the rest on the back 9, shoots 64, shoots 673 the second day, ends up taking the 5th seed into match play, and he goes clear to the semifinal match before he got beaten by Tyler Stafacci, who went on to win. At the end of the 18-man, at the end of the stroke play, there was an 18-man playoff for 3 spots into the 64-player field for the match play. 2 men birdied the first playoff hole, and then Aaron Dew birdied the second to earn that final spot. So I talked about the caddy. That was just unfortunate. But it was a great, great U.S. amateur. I loved watching these guys play. I loved watching at Bandon Dunes. I think they should have the U.S. amateur. I think they should have it at 2 places. I think they should have it at Pinehurst on number 2 and number 4, and they should have it at Bandon Dunes. That's it. Maybe you could slip in Pebble Beach every once in a while, but that's all you need. Bandon Dunes and Pinehurst, hold it there every year, back and forth.
Hey, you're saying it, and just by you saying it here on the Backline Report, it might happen.
There you go.
Things people listen to us, whether people don't think it is true. They listen, so watch out. And you know, you can write Fred the check afterwards for helping you.
Yeah, it's in the mail, right?
It's gotta be there. No
and the U.S. Postal Service is broken. They're going to close up, so you'll never get it.
At least you might get it delayed. Hopefully. I don't know. Anyway, with that, we wrap up our weekend backspin. Let's talk about what's going to happen this week. Of course, we said that, hey, the FedEx Cup, it's starting, but we're going to talk about that a little bit later on. Now we're going to talk about the first major. The second major of the year, the first one on the ladies' schedule. It comes in the shape of the AIG Women's Open at Royal Troon. It's the first time the Women's Open has been held over the famous old course that this one back here that has previously hosted many previous prestigious events, including the Open in 10 occasions, the Amateur Championships, and the Senior Open. Okay, so I mean, it's going to be very interesting to see when unknown Japanese player Hinako Shibuno, the Smiling Cinderella, rocked up this tournament 12 months ago. She was in for a shock. She never thought what would come afterward. But this week, she will be defending not the Women's British Open, but the Women's Open. A subtle title change, one that reflects the championship's relatively new RNA guardianship. And from now on, we can also expect it to follow the Open's much-loved tradition of clinging to the coastline of Britain and Ireland. Good news for everyone, except for maybe Shibuno, who finally got to experience the Link Slam in last week's Scottish Open and tumbled out early with 79 and 77. So there's no move south of the border. Instead of a shift from the East Coast to the West for a first tournament visit to Royal Troon, while the field is impacted by the worldwide situation. I mean, we know with 4 of the world's top 10 players, including number 1 Ying Young Ko, missing. But who's not missing is the woman who's hot on Jin Young Ko's heels in the rankings, and that is Danielle Kang. She's going to lead all the players there, and she provides an immediate drama because of her history. I mean, we talked about it last week. Will she be able to overcome Link's golf? Well, if the Scottish Open is any news, it seems like it. I mean, she spent the lockdown eating spinach, emerging, transformed from a fine player into a sensational one who has won twice already, added the 5th last week at the Renaissance Club. Then this, like I'm saying, this latest effort is notable as a victory because it's her only previous venture on the links. 7 starts in this week's event. She had failed to land one top 40 finish. But hey, that blistering form may well continue. I expect that to overwhelm his history, but it's not something I'm tempted to say, no, it's not going to happen. I think she will. But anyway, Fred, I'm going to pass it on to you. How about the AIG Women's Open?
Well, this is truly a major championship. You know, I had my doubts about how many women would really go over there and play, but they've made it acceptable. They made it easy enough for them to go over there. As I mentioned last week, they had the charter that went right here from Detroit after the Marathon Classic. Everybody got on. They went right over, 60 players and 60 caddies, plus all the ladies that are already in UK that were okay. So this is really, really a strong field, even though some of the Korean players aren't there. You've got Lizette Salas, who was runner-up here last year. You got Jessica and Nelly Korda, Charlie Hall, of course, and Georgia Hall, of course, former Women's British Open. And we can't say it now, I guess we got to say AIG Women's Open, right? There's no British in there. You've got, besides Georgia Hall, you've got Aria Jutanagarn, Minji Lee. Then you got last week's winner, Stacy Lewis. You mentioned Danielle Kang, Lydia Ko, who's maybe showing some signs of reinsurgence. Lexi, Morgan Pressel, NB Park, Brooke Henderson, and Marina Alex. The stars are out for the first major on the LPGA Tour in Scotland this week. Young players to watch this week, Maria Fassi, Jennifer Kupcho, Leona Maguire. I know you like Leona. You've been on a high on her for a couple years. You've got U.S. Women's Amateur, the 2019 winner and the 2020 runner-up, Gabriella Ruffles from Australia is in the field. And then you're at Royal Troon. Oh my goodness, what a great place to be. It's the first time that Royal Troon has hosted a Women's Open. It has hosted the Open Championship 9 times. You've got players like Arnold Palmer, Tom Weiskopf, Tom Watson, won the 4th of his 5 claret jugs here. Mark Calcavecchia, Justin Leonard, Todd Hamilton, and Henrik Stenson. Todd Hamilton, that name just doesn't fit in British Open championships, does it? But he won here, punching that little hybrid club around the greens, right? Doing those little run-ups with that thing. It's links play. You get quirky bounces. Winners have to maintain focus and accept bad bounces. You get wind, you get weather, you get all kinds of stuff. It is a real test of golf. It's a little different than you get here in the United States for sure. It's links golf. Can't wait to watch some of it, Carlos.
Yeah, this is an iconic track. You certainly say it. It's certain to pose a stiff test for players this week. It's a traditional sling course, both spectacular undulating fairways, and the greens are very neat manicured. And you mentioned it, the links golf course brings out unpredictable coastal weather, sure to be a factor throughout. So again, a great field. I'm looking forward to seeing Danielle Kang. I'm high on her this year. I think this is just her coming out party for her. I think she should be the favorite to win. Also, Minji Lee, you mentioned her. I think she's going to do well. She has twice finished top 10 on the links land in this event. She also owns a pair of wins at the links, like the 13 Bishop in the Vic Open. So she's a great links player. But I'm going to also mention two very good links players, veterans that you cannot really lead back. It's Inbee Park. I mean, she's a great player, former winner here, and she was playing well before the pandemic. So I think that this rest that she had is just gonna suit her well. Stacy Lewis, another former Open winner, and she is showing in great form. Like I said, she proved her form. She had a top 10. You mentioned it at Highland Meadows at the start of the month. Robert Stamp with a victory last week. So watch out for her. So definitely those are two players that you have to look out for on the veteran side. So it's going to be interesting. A great one. I think from there, you have to also see Jodie Ewart-Shadow. She's really playing well. She made a top 10 in the Australian Open before the lockdown. Then she returned to action with a 5th and a 2nd back here in the U.S. So watch out. She can definitely play very well here. But anyway, first major on the ladies' side, the second one for the whole year. So we're starting to see how it's starting to pick up with big events on golf. So Fred, any final words before we go to preview?
Yeah, I think this is really significant too, Carlos, in the fact that since the beginning of COVID-19 began back at the beginning of the year, Europe has been hit really hard by this pandemic and is just starting to emerge and allow events to be conducted. This is a big deal to get a women's major outside the United States and have a strong field for the competition. So I really feel this is a really significant event. And the fact that so many top players showed up there to play, I think that says a lot about the women taking the risk and going over there to put on a show. And also, Carlos, we know that the LPGA and the Ladies European Tour are working together now. I really think this shows the commitment from the LPGA Tour to the Ladies European Tour that say, hey, we're here to support you. We're going to help you. and let's get this thing done. So I really think this is a big deal on a lot of levels, Carlos.
That is a great point. Great point, definitely, on the LPGA working together with the Ladies European Tour. I definitely agree with you. I had not seen it that way, but definitely it means something that we see. And we were talking about it. We were skeptical about how many good players were going to go across the pond and play. But I think also that the release of the restrictions for the golfers and for some of the athletes is also helping as well. So yeah, that helps, but also on the mindset of the players, hey, I can go because, hey, you have Stacy Lewis. She's a mom, has her kid. She's exposing herself. So that way it tells you, hey, we're open to go and play, and tells you about the security measures that they're taking to keep the players safe.
One more point too, Carlos. Wider implication here, okay? It's telling the public it's safe to jump on a plane and fly. You can travel if you want to. It can be done. Just take precautions, do what you need to do, but it can be done. It's not life-threatening. You can get it done. I think this has a big, this thing makes a really big statement.
Yeah, we'll see now if all those other players that's still holding out, especially the Asian ones, will make it. Maybe, I don't know. We'll see. Definitely it's a big statement moving forward. Now let's talk about the European Tour, staying there on that side of the pond. In any other year, back-to-back tournaments at the same golf course would be uniquely underwhelming. But it's 2020. It's a move that both the PGA Tour and the European Tour have been forced to make because of the pandemic and trying to match those logistics for the players to be there. So that's why when you tune in this Thursday for the European Tour, you might think you're watching maybe a replay. Like Celtic Manor's 2010 course will look and possibly even play exactly as it did last week. Speaking of replays, you would have been forgiven. I forgive you if you thought that you were watching one on Sunday when Sam Horsfield beats Thomas Dietrich, because he did the same thing 2 weeks ago at the Forest of Arden, right? Anyway, but there was a little more straightforward this time as he completed that run and won. So winning a third time in 4 weeks is perfectly possible for him. As he grows in confidence and stature, he'll likely find a way to try and, if not eliminate, maybe then at least minimize his mistakes. So he's one of the players, of course, that you have to see there. Thomas Dietrich, Thomas Peters, Jordan Smith. So more of those players that we have been seeing. Last time that this tournament was played, it was in 2014. Juice Luyten was the winner back then. So let's see. It's going to be an interesting play. Same field that we've been seeing the past few weeks there on the UK swing. So for this course, it's long, it's challenging test for the players. Plenty of areas to avoid, water coming into play on half of the holes. Long rough awaiting wayward shots. So good test for those European players now that are playing without those big names in the UK swing.
Every time I've seen Celtic Manor, I've seen the wind blowing down there too. So it blows pretty good coming off the channel there. The history of the Celtic Manor, I'm going to give you a history lesson here today, Carlos, can be traced back to 1634. That's a very long time ago. It now boasts 4 hotels, 3 golf courses, and the Ryder Cup was held there in 2010, which the Europeans won by a single point, 14.5 to 13.5. Not too many familiar names in the field this week. That gives a guy like Horsfield a chance to, where he's playing well, you know, maybe he can win three events here in a short span. So yeah, they're having a second tournament in Celtic Manor, weeks back to back, and it's good for the European Tour. More on this UK swing. That's all I got for you, Carlos.
All right, the PGA Tour champions Charles Schwab Series at Bass Pro Shop's Big Cedar Lodge officially tees off this week. Okay, the Charles Schwab Series will feature back-to-back 54-hole tournaments played over a 9-day period this month. The Charles Schwab Series at Buffalo Ridge Golf Course runs from August 19 to the 21, with the Charles Schwab Series at Ozarks National Golf Course will follow from August 24 to the 26th. Now, practice rounds for each event will be held during 2 days prior to the competition. The tournament venues represent 2 of the 5 award-winning nature golf courses at Big Cedar Lodge, which hosted the Bass Pro Shop Legends of Golf Tournament from 2014 to 2019. But due to COVID-19, no spectators will be allowed on site during the events. However, fans will still have access to all the event action by tuning in to the Golf Channel, which will provide extensive coverage throughout the full tournament, set to air in more than 340 million homes in its 170 countries. So we'll see if that's the case. This broadcast will showcase unmatched natural beauty of the area while spotlighting Johnny Morris's vision for creating breathtaking golf courses that connect people to nature. Okay, and that's according to the press release. Let's keep that there. So anyway, as a result of the pandemic, they have combined its 2020 and 2021 tournaments to form one season. That's the PGA Tour Champions. So the next Charles Schwab Cup champion will be crowned November 2021 at the Charles Schwab Cup Championship, Fred.
Back-to-back weeks down at Big Cedar Lodge down at Branson, Missouri. I'm not gonna talk about the tournament much. I'm gonna talk about Branson in general. I have said that we talked about. I mentioned Pebble Beach a little bit ago. I mentioned Bandon Dunes. I mentioned Pinehurst. Branson, Missouri is going to be the next great golf destination, Carlos. People don't understand and don't know about it, but the Buffalo Ridge course, fantastic. It's a Tom Fazio, was just renovated a few years ago. It's absolutely gorgeous. Core Crenshaw did Ozark National. It's right beside it. Right down in the valley on the other side of the ridge is Tiger Woods' new course, Paynes Valley. And then up on top of the hill, you got the Gary Player 13-hole par 3 mountaintop. Plus, you got a gigantic clubhouse, beautiful restaurant, fantastic facilities, all in that one place right there. Then over at the other location where the Big Cedar Lodge is about 2 miles away, you have the par 3, you have all the other amenities, all the other things that Big Cedar Lodge has there. But I'm telling you, if guys want to go for golf trips, you want to go to a great place, go down there. And then if you want to catch a show in the evening, they've got, like 50 theaters in the area. So you can go to a live show. There's all kinds of entertainment there. It's really, really a good place. And I think it's great that they have the Champions Tour down there because it's just a really good facility. And the rumor is that Tiger's going to build a second course there in a couple of years as well. So, he's got 3 championship courses there right now and 2 par 3 courses, one Player and then the Nicklaus. It's an outstanding place. It's all top shelf, Class A.
We'll see what goes there, but definitely that's going to be a very beautiful site to watch and to play. Definitely a great, great site. Hey, the second to last tournament on the Korn Ferry Tour is taking place this weekend. That's the Korn Ferry Tour's Nationwide Children's Hospital Championship. They're going to play it at the Scarlet Course. Where is that? Fred, where's that?
It's right on the Ohio State University campus in Columbus, Ohio, the center of the golf universe.
I just wanted you to say it. Okay, they're going to play for $1 million. Right now, the points leader still Will Torres. Stephen Jaeger won last week. So, Fred, how about this tournament?
Yeah, a lot of people don't realize the Scarlet course. There's 2 courses there, the Scarlet and the Gray. The Scarlet is the championship golf course. The Gray is a little bit easier, not quite as long, a little lower slope. But the Scarlet course was designed by Dr. Alistair McKenzie. Really, really good golf course. Was renovated by Jack Nicklaus, I think, in 2007, somewhere along in there. Just a fantastic place. Carlos, with, I keep talking about Ohio as the center of the golf universe and all that, but, seriously, the PGA Tour restarted in Columbus with 2 events. The LPGA restarted in Toledo with 2 events. The Champions Tour just wrapped up their second event of the year, the Senior Players at Akron last week at Firestone. The Korn Ferry Tours in Columbus this week. That's a lot of weeks of professional golf right here in Ohio. And I'll tell you what, it was all pretty successful. They did a great job running these tournaments. Very little problem with COVID, very little problem with any logistics or anything like that. So hats off to all the people that made all that happen. But Carlos, if you want good golf, you want good management, all that kind of, just come to Ohio. We can fix you up right here. We know how to do it.
And with that, we wrap up our call or the preview so far, because, hey, we're going to talk about the PGA FedEx Cup pretty soon. But, hey, tell us a little bit about Boyne before we move on to the par 5 news.
Today is August 18th, right? It's 33 days until it's only 33 days until the end of the summer. That's a month and 3 days. About 55 days until the weather will start to turn cold in northern Michigan. Boyne Resort is taking every safety precaution imaginable to make travel to their courses and other amenities safe for visitors. 10 golf courses at 3 locations, 3 spas, a zip line, a water park, swimming, hiking, biking, and much, much more. You need a getaway? Boyne Resort near Petoskey on the shores of Lake Michigan is the perfect place for a family vacation, buddies golf trip, or girls golf getaway. Book your trip today at Boyne, BOYNE.com/golf, and tell them Back Nine sent you. It's boyne.com/golf. Carlos, back to you.
All right, now let's start with our par 5 news, some pieces of news that we picked for you that were relevant this past week. And this one was really, really nice. I mean, and I saw the tweet and I was like, what happened here with Zach Johnson? I mean, he was surprised last Wednesday when he popped into a Zoom call to learn that he is this year's recipient of the PGA Tour's Payne Stewart Award. And it was funny because it was Jay Monahan there. And if you saw that video, if you haven't seen it, I really tell you, go ahead and see it, because it was so natural and he got so emotional there when he was presented with it, because he then sees Jay Monahan, but all of a sudden there's Payne Stewart's, his son and his daughter, and he was like, what's going on? He immediately realized what was happening there. So they were presenting him with that. Of course, that annually goes to the golfer who best exemplifies Payne Stewart's steadfast values of character, charity, and sportsmanship. But he was extremely grateful for that honor. He said that he never got to meet Payne, but he loved him. He used to go to every time when they were going to the Tour Championship at the Payne Stewart Award ceremony. He went there his rookie year and thinking, hey, this is like the pinnacle of a PGA Tour player career, because that's what really golf, and we have been saying this all about, is about giving. Golf is really the top and the pinnacle of what is giving back. And he was saying that, you utilize your gifts that you're given, and he knows that Payne lived that way, and that's why this award is given. So he will be honored September 2 at the Payne Stewart Award ceremony in conjunction with the Tour Championship. So Fred, how about Zach Johnson? I mean, his foundation strives to give back to children and families in Cedar Rapids. And one such way is the Zach Johnson Foundation Classic, where they held. So, I mean, Zach is a great example for this. And congratulations to him. But again, he is just another one of those examples, like I mentioned, in golf gives back and continues to give. And Zach was the one being selected this year.
I think this is a perfect choice. It wasn't in my consciousness, but when I heard this, I thought, this is absolutely perfect. For a guy that doesn't bomb it, 300 yards, Zach Johnson has had an amazing career. on not only on the golf course, but off the golf course. He is well liked. He's a good guy. He's 44 years old, joined the tour in 1998, 22 years and counting, currently inside the top 125. So he's earned his card again for next year. He's good to go. Has 12 career titles, including 2 major championships. He's going to be in the World Golf Hall of Fame. He's going to be. He's you know, all through his career, he's been a gentleman that has embodied every attribute of a champion and a Christian athlete, Midwestern values, works hard, gets the most out of his abilities. He's a possessor of one of the best short games ever to be seen in golf. He relies on that ability to use a wedge to score. He's always a threat on courses that value par and are not a birdie fest. Zach is a very worthy recipient of this. Congratulations to him. A big thanks to the Southern company that takes this on and supports this every year. I think they do a wonderful job with this, and I'm really happy for Zach Johnson. I think this is really, really a good deal, Carlos.
Definitely very deserving, and congratulations to him, Zach. You're very well deserving. And I mean, you said it there that, you know, golf is your ministry. It's your way to give back. And you recited those Bible verses that keep popping in your head on that. So, I mean, he's a very well deserving guy for this. And I can't stress enough how much more to congratulate him on this. Okay, now, you know, very sad news. Well, not sad. It's sad because it's another tournament that bites the dust, right? It's another LPGA tournament that bites the dust. No surprise, really. On Thursday night, the LPGA released a statement that the 2020 Taiwan Swinging Skirts LPGA, which was scheduled for October 29th through November 1st at the Miramar Golf Country Club, has been canceled. Very sad, very bad. I mean, but this is just what the COVID-19 pandemic has been giving you. On Tuesday, they had announced that the cancellation of the Buick LPGA Shanghai that was originally scheduled for the weeks before, October 15th to the 18th. So, you know, another, I mean, they released their statement in full that they, with the advice of the Taiwan government and, of course, the significant travel restrictions that have been put in place due to coronavirus, they had to do this along with the tournament's partners. But, I mean, we see that they were able to go to Europe, but it's a different story when you're going to the Asian swing. And really, I mean, I think they had no choice. I mean, it's something that even the Asian players are holding up for, and I think it was the right call.
Yeah, you know, they canceled those. There's still 2 more that we haven't heard about yet, though. They haven't made an announcement on the BMW Ladies Championship in Korea or the Toto Japan Classic in November. I would be surprised if they hold those. I would think that they will be canceled as well, but maybe not. I don't know. Maybe they got something figured out. I'm really surprised they haven't done it as yet. And again, I have to say that I'm really surprised that the Scottish Women's Open went off without a hitch, and the ladies are staying in the bubble for the AIG Women's Open this week in Scotland. So they're showing that it can be done, but I don't know if Asia can handle it as well as it's being done here in the United States and Scotland. So we'll have to figure that out, but I wouldn't be surprised that the BMW Ladies Championship and the Toto Japan Classic are canceled as well, Carlos.
I mean, for the way it looks, it really wouldn't be a surprise that pretty soon we'll learn that. Hey, let's talk about the Irish Open. As expected, will take place at Dalgorm Castle Golf Club in County Antrim, and that's in Northern Ireland, in the week that was supposed to host the Ryder Cup. It has been moved to Northern Ireland due to the quarantine measures still in place in the Republic and the ban on large gatherings. So it was due to be hosted in Montjulier at the end of May. This tournament last year, this is no longer a Rolex Series event, will have a purse of 1.25 euros, well down from the 7 million last year. However, with the Ryder Cup in Ireland in 2027 at Adar Manor, it will likely return to the Rolex Series in the coming season. So we don't know yet, but that's just a thought. This year's event will take place in the week after the U.S. Open in New York, and in the week before the Scottish Open, which is followed by the BMW PGA Championship. Yeah, it's a very, very, very busy schedule there. But Fred, Keith Bailey said that the Dubai duty-free Irish Open is an integral part of the schedule there. And despite the obvious challenges, they're going to stage it there. So at least good news for the Irish Open. John Ram has won it there. He has won 2 of the last 3. Doubt that he might be there. We don't know. But at least it's good to see that the European tourists at least doing their best to to restructure their schedule and put some of those suspended tournaments back on the schedule.
Yeah, it's just like we were talking about the women's open a little bit earlier. It's great to see that things are beginning to open up a little bit in the UK and in Ireland and in Scotland. They're able to start hosting events. No fans, but at least they're getting the players there. They're secure in the knowledge that they can create a safe environment for all the players, the volunteers, all the staff that needs to be there. So it's great that they can get this going. They found the holes in the schedule, and they can find the sponsors to get these things going. So kudos to European Tour. They're kind of making lemonade out of lemons here. So they're salvaging some of their season yet.
Now, I was waiting for this piece of news. Last week, we talked about the mayor of Augusta saying, they should do the right thing. And we talked about that, nobody tells Augusta what to say or what to do. But we said very, very well, we said, hey, if he's speaking something, he might know something. Because otherwise, there's no way he was going to say that they should not do it without fans, the Augusta National, the Masters. But their decision to hold a Masters patron-free, not fans-free, patron-free, means tens of thousands of visitors who will collectively cross the city off their 2020 to-do list. That's what that means. That announcement came the day after we talked about it on Tuesday. It was a Wednesday. They said that he will not allow patrons, confirming what Augusta Mayor Hardy Davis predicted last week. So I'm going to ask him for the winner for the Kentucky Derby, because he did an amazing prediction there. I mean, I would have never said it. So Augusta National does not release attendance figures, but past projections have certainly placed the tournament's economic impact in excess of $100 million. Okay, that's what the estimate said. That's patrons spend money on lodging, food, and entertainment. So, Mayor Harding Brown said the opposite.
That's conservative, Carlos. It's a bigger number than that, I guarantee you.
I know, but I gotta be conservative with these things. I have the numbers. I can't do that. But Mayor Brown said that absence, or patrons, as they're called at Augusta National, incorporate the hospitality guests, will sap revenue from hotels, short-term rental operators, catering companies, transportation providers throughout the whole region. Okay, and Fred, that's a dim silver lining, is that the tournament will still draw thousands of seasonal employees needed to do behind-the-scenes works at the course. So, Fred, prior to this year, the last major disruption to Masters was the cancellation during the final 2 years of the World War II. So this one is not a cancellation, but it feels like it, because it's a big, big impact to the area.
If you stood outside the merchandise building for a half an hour, I mean, first of all, you have to stand in line to get in, and you're shoulder to shoulder inside. You can't hardly move. You just have to move with the crowd. I mean, it's unbelievable, right? They have 64 cash registers, 64 cash registers, and there's a line 10 and 12 deep at every one. And nobody's getting out of there for less than $100 per sale, okay? People are coming out with 2 and 3 bags full of stuff. They're spending thousands of dollars, all right? So just that alone the sales out of that merchandise building for those 5 or 6 days that people are there has to be $50 million plus. I mean, it's unbelievable the money that changes hand in that thing. Just the tax, okay? The hotel motel tax for that week in the county is $1.4 million, just the hotel motel tax. You can't find a room within a 30-mile radius for less than $300 a night, okay? So there are 4,000 listings of rented homes that are available. Those go for about 10 grand for the week, okay? You've got 7,200 hotel and motel rooms, all right? Multiply all that stuff out. It's a lot more than $100 million, I'm going to guarantee you. The economic impact to the city government is gigantic. They're not going to have any of that because that all gets taxes, all the food, all the beverage, all the hotel motel. It's unbelievable the amount of money it's going to cost the city of Augusta and all the people and all the businesses that are there, not including the restaurants, the waiters and waitresses, the beer companies, the distributors. I mean, it's just mind-boggling, Carlos. I would put the economic impact of the Masters for that 1 week, I would put it more at about $400 million, maybe $500 million. It's a gigantic number because the people that go there, I mean, the people that go there all have money and they all spend it. And a lot of it is corporate money. So they're really spending it, okay? So it's a big deal and it's a real economic impact to the people and the city of Augusta.
Wow. Well, we know that it's going to be whatever the impact is. It's really big. So for them to take this decision, it was not lightly taken, and it's definitely hurtful for them. But hey, at least the tournament will go on. There's going to be the employees there, so at least there's silver lining is down there. Fred, Patriot Day, when is going to happen and what's going to happen there?
Yeah, this is always a really good deal. We always like to talk about this. Patriot Day is always held over the Labor Day weekend. It's September 4th through 7th this year. But new news this year, Folds of Honor is partnering with PGA Hope. So your dollars, you go to the golf course, you're going to play. They're going to ask if you want to give some of your money, if you're going to donate to Folds of Honor. And some of the money is also going to PGA Hope this year, which is great because Folds of Honor has given millions and millions of dollars to deserving military families of wounded or killed in action military members. This is really, really a good fund. Major Dan Rooney, Colonel Dan Rooney, Major Ed Polito, they head this effort up. They go all over, travel all over, raising funds for Folds of Honor. They do a fantastic job. You've seen Gary Woodland carries Folds of Honor on his bag, the little flag on there. He's one of their guys. So they partner up with PGA Hope. The PGA Hope caters to injured military veterans to learn the game and help them reintegrate into society after their service is complete and maybe they're having mental issues or problems dealing with their injuries and things like that. So PGA Hope has done a wonderful job taking that on and getting that done. So two really, really deserving charities here, Carlos. So go out and play golf over the Labor Day weekend. Make your tee time now because, of course, they're going to be booked. I guarantee it, okay? Go out, play over the weekend. When they ask if you want to put some money into Folds of Honor, do it. And the courses will all be donating a portion of the green fees as well. So really, really worthy charities there, Carlos.
Very worthy. So stay tuned for that. We'll get you more information as it comes by. And with that, we wrap up our Par 5 news, and now it's time for our practice range. Every week, Fred and I pick a topic, and each one of us takes our own shots at it. This week is the start of the FedEx Cup. Players have been accumulating FedEx Cup points since the wraparound season. Wraparound season last fall. And the 125 who racked up the most points will face off this week at the Northern Trust, the first event of the FedEx Cup Playoffs. As the first of the now 3 playoff tournaments, players begin this event with the points they've earned over the past 11 months. But for 55 in the field, the ride will end in Boston, as only the top 70 will move on to Olympia Fields, Illinois, for the BMW Championship, which is the second leg of the playoffs. Now, those outside the top 70 after Boston will be eliminated from the playoffs. A large portion of the field will have enough FedEx Cup points to move on to round 2, regardless of what happens at the Northern Trust. But even those who have locked up later round berth will not be short on motivation. And the reason why, Cup points are triple for the first 2 playoff rounds, meaning the player who takes top billing in Boston will earn a cool 1,500 points. To put that into perspective, okay, only 5 players right now, Justin Thomas, Colin Morikawa, Webb Simpson, Bryson DeChambeau, and Sanjay M, tallied more than 1,500 points during the entire season. So there's a great deal of potential for playoff movement. A win here makes a player a lock to reach the Tour Championship at Eastlake, regardless of whether that winner is number 1 or Wyndham Clark, number 125. You say, really? Well, let me tell you this. Perhaps the best example is Heath Slocum. When in 2009, he entered the playoffs at 124. He won the first round victory, move up to 3rd place. So, that's how it is. Those top spots are important, especially now as the Tour Championship features a handicap-based system, officially called the FedEx Cup Starting Strokes, for the 2nd time. Now, the FedEx Cup points leader after the first 2 legs begins the Tour Championship at 10 under. The number 2 player begins at 8 under. The number 3 players start at 7 under, and so forth. The number 4, 6 under. The number 5, 5 under. Players 6 to 10, 4 under, and so forth. It's a long story. But anyway, in that final in Eastlake, the player with the lowest aggregate score over 72 holes, counting that handicap, when added to that handicap, wins the Tour Championship and is also crowned the FedEx Cup champion. A winner of the Tour Championship is considered an official PGA Tour victory, but the money and points earned are not part of the player's historical record. The FedEx Cup champion's $50 million first place check is considered a bonus money. Further, the official World Golf Ranking awards world ranking points based on the gross score finishes, excluding the starting strokes. So, some marquee players who will need a good showing this week to move on include, and these are the big names on the bubble. Matt Kuchar is at 63, but starting from the bottom, it would be Shane Lowry, who just got in at 122. Zach Johnson, who we talked about, Payne Stewart Award, the winner, 104. Justin Rose is 103. Jordan Spieth is 99. Brooks Koepka, 96. Tommy Fleetwood, 89. Ricky Fowler, 87. Phil Mickelson is 67. Bubba Watson is 65. And Matt Kuchar, 63. Those are the big names that you can call that are on the bubble. They need a good showing. They cannot afford to not have a good showing this week, Fred. So I'm going to turn it over to you now and your opinion on what's going on the FedEx Cup.
We're going to have some really big names that aren't going to make it to the second stop in Chicago next week, Carlos. We're going to talk about those next week. But those names you just read off, they'll be lucky. 1 or 2 of those guys move up into the top 70 because a lot of those guys are not going to make it and move on. We got 3 events over the next 3 weeks. You got the Northern Trust in Boston this week. You got the BMW in Chicago next week and the Tour Championship at Eastlake 3 weeks from now. Each with a $9.5 million purse. The winner gets $1.66. But more importantly, they move into that top 5 in the playoffs, that all-important top 5. If they want a chance to win, you got to be up there come that Tour Championship at Eastlake. The top 5, even if you don't win, Carlos, even if you don't get the $15 million for winning that Rory got last year, it ain't too bad to be in the top 5. The runner-up gets $5 million. Third place gets $4 million. Fourth place gets $3 million, and fifth place gets $2.5 million. That ain't too bad. Even if you didn't get into the playoffs, if you're from 126 to 150, you got 70 grand, and you don't even have to play. You're going to play maybe here in the finals or something in the Korn Ferry Tour, but you don't have to play. You're going to pick up 70 grand. Justin Thomas is number one heading into the playoffs. He's in the catbird seat. If he just has a couple high finishes, he'll maintain his position. Rory McIlroy, that's kind of the wild card for me, Carlos. He's not played all that great this year. He was the winner last year. He comes in at number 8, though. He hasn't had a great year, but he's still at number 8. This could get his attention. His play has been somewhat lackluster since the return of the playoff, from the layoff. This may just get his juices flowing. Maybe, can he possibly repeat? Maybe. You talked about the top 10 going in. Others of note, you mentioned some of the guys down below number 70. You got Dustin Johnson at 15, Tony Finau, number 23, Jason Day, 45. Tiger's at 48. Yeah, we got Tiger this week. He's going to be playing. Paul Casey, who I think is being, he played really great in the PGA Championship. If he can continue that kind of play, he could be a factor in this thing this year. And Paul Casey could really make his career if he could have a really good FedEx Cup playoff this next couple of weeks. And then, you mentioned Koepka. Do you think he's got a chance? Do you think he's going to make it in top 70? Do you think he's got a chance to make it to the Tour Championship, Carlos?
Who was that? I'm sorry?
Brooks Koepka.
Oh. That's tough, man. I think he does. He came out this week and he said, I regret what I said about, before the PGA Championship final round. He didn't know the guys on the leaderboard after 3 rounds. I think he got a reality check. But he's been playing good. He's not been playing great like we're used to seeing him. But I think we'll see him move at least to the top 70. I think this course suits him well. If he's feeling well from that, he should be in that top 70. And who knows, maybe, like I mentioned, a win here locks you up all the way to the Tour Championship. So I definitely think he'll make it.
I think it's going to be fun to watch him. I would really seriously doubt he makes it in the top 70. He's going to have a top 5 finish, I think, to make it into the top 70. And it's possible. He's that quality of player. If it gets his attention and he's motivated, he could do it. We'll just see. You got young guys, Carlos. We talked about Morikawa, who's in the top 10 based off his PGA Championship and his strong play before that. But you still got Victor Hovland, who has just been steady Eddie and playing really well since they came back. And you got Matt Wolff, who's been playing fantastic. Hovland's at 28, Wolff's at 34. So, they're right there. They should make it to the Tour Championship. And if they could have a couple high finishes here in these first 2 events, they could jump up into the top 10. Who knows? They could be right there. So let's don't forget here, okay? Yeah, we're paying a lot of money, but there's also a $60 million total bonus pool on top of all this stuff that's split up by the top 150. I mentioned if you're outside the top 125 down to 150, you're still going to get 70 grand. Only the top 125 can actually play in the playoffs, but and you've got to get in top 70 to play next week, and then you got to be in top 30 to make the Tour Championship. So, we're kind of getting the hang of it now. It's been a while. They've been doing it for a while. So, and Carlos, I'm going to go ahead and give you my picks right now before I turn it back to you. And I'm going to stick with my guy, right? I'm going to stick with Collin Morikawa because he's playing as consistent right now as anybody in Tour. And you have to be consistent through these first 2 and then maintain that through the Tour Championship. And I like him a lot. If he keeps finding fairways and hitting those irons good, he's going to be okay. I like Justin Thomas. Justin has done this. He is playing the best of anybody in the world right now. You can't count him out. I like Paul Casey. I like Tony Finau, and I believe it or not, I like Victor Hovland in this thing. And I think Rory is going to break out of his funk and have 3 good weeks. And my long shot, Carlos, my long shot, Jordan Spieth.
What? No, wait.
I know. That's my long shot, man, right there. I knew that would get your attention. Yep.
Wow. All right. So you got my long shot out. Okay. I don't have to mention him now.
There you go.
All right. So I was about to ask you, because I mentioned the guys in the bubble, but I wanted to ask you from that 70 to 30, who you think, because there's some big names there. I mean, you see Adam Scott, you see Matthew Wolff, Gary Woodland, Patrick Cantley, you see Tiger Woods, your guy Kevin Kisner, Jason Day, you have Matthew Fitzpatrick, you have Paul Casey, which you mentioned. I mean, you see there Matt Kuchar, Phil Mickelson, Bubba. Who you think of? There's a lot of big names there who are just between 30 and 70. Who's going to make it to the 30? That's going to be.
I like Paul Casey a lot. If he continues his play like he played there at Harding Park, he's as good as anybody right now. And I really like. Well, Colin Marcar's in top 10, so he doesn't fit that bill. But I like Hovland. I think Hovland is hungry. He wants to play. He wants to get up there. And Morikawa, he sees Morikawa doing it, and he says, I can do that because I'm just as good as he is. And I'll tell you what, Matt Wolff can do it too, Carl. Those 3 guys, the triplets, they're fearless, man. They're not taking a seat to anybody. So I don't know. It's going to be really interesting to see who comes out this week and doesn't make it into the top 70.
Most definitely. I think I agree with you on JT. JT has to be the favorite. He keeps Bones for the playoffs. So.
Oh, really?
He's going to keep Bones for.
That's big. That's really big.
That's a big impact there for him. Yep. And like you mentioned, he has done it before, so he knows. I got to say also, Webb Simpson, I have been impressed with him all year. He's been super consistent. He's playing really good. And that's what you need to have 3 consistent tournaments. Not only one, if you keep playing like he's been playing, he's got to be definitely one of those that you have to consider. I picked Rory McIlroy during the PGA Championship. It's because I think he's just this tad of winning and breaking out.
You're exactly right. I think you're exactly right.
This short of doing it. How else? Because Rory McIlroy, we haven't been talking about him that much. He's 8. That tells you that he's been flying under the radar. He just needs one little spark to go right up there. And of course, Andrew Schauffele is the other guy that loves this type of events. I mean, you have to account for him. He's one of those players that have to be there. So those of the top 30 players, I think those 4. And the 5th one, I got to stick with my guy, Victor Hovland. I say he was going to be Rookie of the Year. I think he still has a pretty good chance with a couple of good showings to do it. Now, outside of that,
Morikawa's got that locked up, doesn't he?
No, Morikawa was last year, like Matthew Wolff.
That's right. Hovland didn't. That's right. They got in because Hovland didn't get in until this year. That's right. Okay. All right.
So now I can tell you that that's on the top 30. Those are my 5 picks. Outside of that, I gotta say, I don't think this is Tiger Woods. I don't think
something. We're not even talking about Tiger. We didn't even talk about him.
Yeah, I don't think he's ready for this. He's gonna play.
That's when he'll jump up and bite you, Carlos. That's when he'll jump right up there.
I'll be happy if he does. So I'll be happy if he does.
Rested. You know what? He's rested. The rest of these guys are tired. Justin Thomas admitted the other day, this has been a real grind the last 2 months. And it has been for these guys. They've been playing almost every week. There's been very few breaks. And Tiger's been sitting at home just taking it easy. So, Tiger could play his way in. If he gets into a groove and then plays his way up through there, he might be fine.
He might be. I mean, and he knows how to do this. It's not going to be something strange for him. He's the best winner. He's the biggest winner of all time. So he knows how to win. I wouldn't be surprised, but I'm not going to pick him. But I think the guy from there, from 30 to 70, that I have to say, I think he's the guy that you got to look at is Jason Day. Jason Day's been playing well. He's feeling healthy. And if he's playing well and he's healthy, that's the guy that you have to count on definitely to be there. From 30 to 70, that's my pick. And outside of that, I got to see is Jordan Spieth and Brooks Koepka. I think those are the only two that have the chance to make it to the top 30.
You're on the Spieth wagon too. All right. I didn't expect.
Yeah, I've been on him. I've been on him on this downslope. Okay. I'm not about to abandon him at all. So that's another guy that he just needs one flip of the switch. Yep. If he gets what's wrong, because we see him up and down. He just needs to put 4 rounds together. A good showing, and I keep saying it, all is mental, because he started tinkering with his swing, and all of a sudden everything fell out. But if he's able to put everything back together, 4 good rounds, which he hasn't done in 2 years, he has 4 good rounds, maybe a top 10, maybe a top 5 there fighting, because there's nobody as good mentally right now. I can tell you, if he gets that confidence back, watch out, because Jordan Spieth will be.
This might be sacrilegious, and I love Michael Greller. I think he is one of the top 5 caddies on tour. Okay, but Michael Greller may need to leave Jordan, and he may need to get a new guy that kicks him in the butt a little bit to get just a little bit different feel there. Because Greller is really low key. And he just kind of goes along, he go because Spieth gets so high, right? He gets so animated, and Greller kind of keeps him calm and that kind of thing. Maybe Jordan needs somebody, a little more high energy guy, to kind of match his energy to get him going. And I don't know, but Greller will have no problem getting a job. I mean, he'll get another bag in a heartbeat, right? But maybe it's time to switch that up a little bit, Carlos.
Hey, we've seen it before, and like you said, it might sound sacrilegious, and I'm not going to suggest that it should happen, but I wouldn't be surprised if it happens. I mean, it makes total sense what you're saying. Maybe that's what both need. They have been together for so long, very good friends, so maybe you need somebody that is not also complacent with you, because maybe Michael at some point might be like, not trying to get too much into Jordan's mindset and try to get him out of what it is. I mean, again, we don't know. We're not down there to know everything that's going on with them. But knowing the dynamics of a caddy and a golfer, that might just be it. That might just be it. They're seeing it the same way, and then maybe he needs that fresh mind out of it. That might get Jordan Spieth there. And I wouldn't be worried, like you said, about Greller. He would be in the bag the next week right away.
Yeah.
There's no way he will be 2 weeks without a job. That's how good he is. So anyway, let's talk quickly about the Northern Trust. What do you see this week?
Well, I think you just got to look at those top 10 names, Carlos. I don't see anybody really. Well, unless Jim Herman, maybe. What about Jim? We didn't talk about Jim Herman. Maybe he'll go back to back. What do you think? No, I don't know. Maybe somebody will light a fire. One of the, it's down there in the 90s or something. But those top 10 guys, the top 10 guys have all been really playing well. They've not only won, but they have been top finishers in 2 or 3 or 4 of the events. So they've all been playing really steady and really well. They know how to win. They know what to do. I just can't look too far, back from the top 10. I don't see Tiger. If Tiger would finish, if Tiger would finish in the top 40, I think that would be a good week for him. And that'll get him, he'll be in the next week for sure. And then he'll need a good week in Chicago to move up into the top 30. But it's hard to bet against. I can't bet against Tiger. He could be a guy that could jump up there too. So Brooks Koepka to me is the wild card. What's he going to do or not do? That's the guy that I'm really watching.
Watch him because he's going to make it. He's going to be there next week. I assure you that. And, I mean, from number 1, Justin Thomas, to 125, Wyndham Clark, this is the richest postseason in professional sports. Begins this week there at TPC Boston with the Northern Trust. And, of course, there's 2 guys that have their backs marked this week. Rory McIlroy, because at number 8, he's well positioned to defend his 2019 FedEx Cup title. And of course, those other 124 have other ideas. But the defending champ is really Patrick Reed, who will defend his Northern Trust title. And as I said, that's another guy that we haven't talked about. But hey, he's number 9 right now, and he can turn it out in a switch as well. So watch out. I mean, this is a par 71 tournament. Par 71.
It would be a popular win too if he won the 15 mil. Wouldn't that be something?
Record-breaking ratings.
Oh, great.
Anyway, it's going to be interesting. I think the players that I'm going to be watching are the ones that I mentioned as my favorites to see. I think Brooks and Jordan and Jason Day will finish well this week to make it to the next week. But again, it's interesting. I mean, this is everybody's now going for it. They know it's a $50 million bonus there, so they have to go for it. This is where the champion of the FedEx Cup will be awarded professional golf immortality. Well, not really, but really they will earn $50 million. That's going to be real. So anyway, with that, we'll close down the FedEx Cup playoff preview. And Fred, close us out with the final puts.
Yeah, a couple real quick here. The PGA announced this last week that the 2024 President's Cup would be held at Royal Montreal up in Canada. Mike Weir is going to be the captain. Surprise, surprise. There was a hole-in-one. You know, I talked about Bandon earlier because of the U.S. Amateur. The Sheep Ranch just opened up this summer there as the 5th golf course there. And while the U.S. Amateur was going on over at Bandon Dunes course, a woman playing the 100-yard par 3 16th at the Sheep Ranch used a putter to make a hole-in-one. 100-yard hole-in-one with a putter on a par 3.
How do you do that?
That's taking the ground game to a whole new level right there, Carlos. And then Tiger made the news this week, even though he didn't play. He caddied for his son Charlie in a U.S. Kids event. Charlie just annihilated the competition, shot a 33, just killed everybody. A 2,500-yard course and beat everybody in it. So, Carlos, Ohio Golf Journal, the August issue was out last week. I got some great stuff in there. Check it out. We also have more video on Back Nine Report TV on YouTube and on Roku. You'll be able to see this podcast on there in a day or so, or maybe tomorrow we'll have it up there. We're also on TuneIn. We're also on iTunes. So everybody, give us a chance. Take a look. We got everything for you. If it's golf, we got it covered, Carlos.
You know why Charlie Woods won? All those little golfers were like, oh, my God, Tiger's playing. We have no choice. We have no choice.
Well, that's like the other dad of the kid who was playing with the other dad, is just chatting up Tiger and get his picture taken and all this stuff, right? Go away, kid. Don't bother me. I'm talking to Tiger.
Don't worry. It's Tiger Woods. Don't worry. Hey, Back Niners, that wraps up another week of the Back Nine Report. Thank you for joining us. It's always our pleasure to bring you the latest on the world of golf. Don't forget to see us again next week on YouTube, or if you miss it, check the audio version on iTunes or tune in. If you haven't done so, hey, follow the show on Twitter. Our ID is at Back Nine Report with the number 9 in the middle. My name is Carlos Torres, along with Fred Altvater. We wish you to be happy, be blessed, and enjoy the great game of golf. Happy golfing, everybody.
Good night, everybody.